Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. GC 365. I am Pastor Kyler. I'm the associate pastor at the Woodinville campus. This is my buddy John.
How's it going?
He's been at the Woodinville campus for a while. He's been a good fishing buddy of mine. Sometimes when the fishing's good.
Yeah,
He's been a bad fishing buddy
right.
too. With the way that the bite was going. So day 196. It's a real wiener. I mean winner today. Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that on these. I said that because we're talking about circumcision a little bit later on. I have to watch myself.
Maybe you are.
Maybe I am. I have to watch myself. I found out the other day that my grandma watches these.
Oh,
She's
boy.
97 years old.
You're in trouble.
97 years old. And I guarantee, shout out to Grandma Anna. I guarantee you she could still wash out my mouth with soap if she really wanted to. So I should be careful about what I say with these things. So get into the reading. First Chronicles chapter 19. Here's what's crazy about the First Chronicles reading. And this is the second or third time this has happened to me while filming one of these things, is that it was more so in the Gospels. I would do a GC 365 on one of the stories, and then when it repeats that same story in the Gospel, of course, it's my day. So I'm talking about the same thing. If you look back 1 month ago, probably from today, I preached on one of the exact same stories.
Samuel.
But yeah, back when we were back there. So, but now we're in Chronicles. What'd you think about? What'd you think about this?
So, it's funny. There's people look at the Bible and they look at obviously all the big characters, famous characters, Moses and Pharaoh and all that. But one of the interesting characters I thought in Chronicles was King David's sort of right-hand dude, Joab.
Yeah.
And he's an interesting guy. They can make a movie about him, right? So he's the ultimate sort of number two to King David. Not always in a good way. Obviously, he was David's confidant. I think he's his nephew. But he also helped him rub out Uriah the Hittite, cleared the way for him and Bathsheba. So I wouldn't say that was a gold star moment for him.
No.
But he did prove himself to be an amazing commanding officer, won a lot of battles.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this today. So let's say you're the big commanding officer of David's armies. And you're winning all these battles. You have to be really careful that you don't think you're all that, because God pretty much says, hey, go over here and do this, and I will carry the day for you.
Yeah.
If you were that general, you'd be like, oh, man, I'm something. Look at me. It's like, no.
If you live long enough, I know God pretty much squashes anybody that tries to take credit for this.
Right.
So just you gotta be really humble.
Right.
If you're doing this stuff for God, you gotta be really, really humble. Later on in the story, I thought it was a super funny part where I like just pointing out the awkward moments, right? Circumcision, that the whole New Testament's awkward this time, but in the Old Testament, how basically when he sent those guys, I can't remember who they were. When he sent like the people that they thought were spies,
right,
over to the next village, they cut off their robes at their butt.
And made them shave their head.
Shaved them. So made them shave their head and shave their beard and cut off their robes at their butt. So they're walking around like Donald Duck. But it's just like, it's so cartoony to me in my head. Like it just seems like a classic old cartoon. These guys walking like with their tail between their legs, kind of literally.
The walk of shame.
The walk of shame. And like, man, like I can't imagine what that sunburn would be like. But like, having to walk back. But then also right after that, David hears about this and tells them, go stay in another town till your beard grows back.
And your shirts.
And like maybe get another pair of shorts or something like that. But yeah, the amount of shame that you get from having your beard shaved off back then too, it's crazy. And until your beard grows back, for me, that'd be like a day. I'd be back at it. But
Job, he's a smart guy, right? I remember part of it, I don't know if it was Chronicles 19 or 20, but David says, all right, hey, I need to go out and know how many people I have. And Joab's like, boss, I don't think that's a good idea. And he's like, get out there. And of course, this
is the part that I talked about a month ago.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's the part was David taking a census.
Yeah.
I remember, and like watch back a month ago, I was like, what's so wrong with the census?
Same here.
Right. And what's funny is in my own Connect group, we talked about that.
Okay.
We were talking about that the night that one aired, and just because we happen to have Connect groups that night. And we were talking about it, and we're like going around, what is so bad about it? And you kind of learn more once you actually get into Chronicles now, right? That wasn't just, David sinning, and if you look back a month ago, it said God caused David to do this because he had anger against Israel, and then now it says, and it's not necessarily contradicting itself, but it's Satan made David, and what it really was David falling into the sin, right? Satan kind of representing that sin and doing it, but it really shows too that somebody tried to tell him this is a bad idea.
Right.
That wasn't in there a month ago, but also it kind of showing like this is him trying to bump he's looking at his numbers. He's not looking at God's numbers.
Right. Where's the faith step there?
He's looking at his stats.
Right. Batting average.
Yeah, he's looking at his batting average. It shows, it was a humility thing. That was the downfall.
Right.
That was the sin. So we learn a little bit more. It's funny, you read some of this stuff, but as you read on, you do end up, kind of questions get answered.
Right. And you were talking about the funny things in the Bible, the Old Testament. Okay, granted, some of it's a tough read, but some of it's fascinating. Like in Chronicles 20, David sends Joab to go off and take care of King Rabbah. And he brings back his crown.
Yeah.
75 pounds.
75 pounds.
It's like a bag of cement on your head.
Isn't that old saying, heavy is the head that wears the crown? Man, in this case, it really is. I guarantee you he has neck problems just from a little bit from wearing that thing around. 75 pounds seems absolutely ridiculous.
And then the Goliath's family, the guy had 6 toes. And so there's all kinds of interesting stuff in the last
I know.
part of the Old Testament.
I know. And then we get into the New Testament.
Yikes.
And man, yikes. Yikes. Great. I'll tell you guys.
You go first.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that. When I was in youth ministry, there's parts of the Bible we didn't cover. This is one of them. It's just like, I don't want to sit there in front of a bunch of 7th grade snickering boys talking about circumcision, and let alone like having to explain it, right?
Yeah.
And not explain what it is, but also the why, right? I mean, I don't want to explain what it is to 7th grade boys.
And I thought, to me, that was one of the shortest.
Is that a pun? Are you joking about?
No.
Sorry, Grandma.
The most abbreviated. I had to read it like 5 times. It was almost like an old Abbott Costello, who's on first.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're uncircumcised, but you have a bad heart, then your uncircumcision is like being circumcised. But if you're, I read through it 3 or 4 times, just getting prepared for today. And I thought, okay, I need to go to the Google machine and look at it. And really, I guess in the essence, it's an outward appearance with a wrong kind of heart is not what God's looking for.
Right.
At the end of the day, he doesn't care what your outward adornments are. He cares about your heart. So if you're circumcised and you don't have it in your heart, he's not happy. If you're uncircumcised and you have God in your heart, then he's cool.
Right. It's funny when I'm reading this, we're all reading it in our app, or 99% of us reading it in our app. Right. And as it ends a chapter, you have to hit to the next page. And so it kind of finishes that section. You're like, okay, well, at least that chapter's done. I hit the next page. Oh, good. We're still talking about this. And because that was the rest of the thing. But really, circumcision in this point, in this perspective, and really all point in perspective in the Bible, takes a place of any other sacrament that you hold tightly, or even tradition. And we'll kind of say around here at Gold Creek, tradition can be a cuss word for us. We try not to do things just because of tradition, and even in the scripture here is kind of making some of that point. But it made me wonder what's the circumcision of today? What's the sacrament that we hold on to? That it's kind of like, well, even if you do this, and I think of going to church, man. Even if you just go to church, but your heart isn't there, right? This is making the exact same point.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter, how holy roller you look, how many of those God fish things you have on your car,
crucifix around.
It doesn't matter what you got. It truly is all about the heart. And this is the book of Romans, right? So he's talking to a bunch of people that are in this truly like a pagan society. Yeah. Right. A pagan society that doesn't know about God, right? It's totally pre-Christian. And explaining all this to them, I'm sure to them matters of the heart were just so different. you know, the things that they focused on are the things that are important to them. But it's so applicable to us now.
Yeah. I just found it's if you have the luxury of time, sometimes it is fun to jump out of the reading and go to Wiki or go wherever and read the backstory on some of this, because sometimes a lot of these Bible narratives provide more color than I would get just like reading it, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, get yourself a commentary of some sort, you know, figuring out kind of where Paul is when he's writing these different things, makes adds so much meat to it, but also gives you a ton of context. And Romans is a good one because there's so many other of the letters that Paul wrote. I remember there's a commentary on the book of Galatians, which Paul also wrote, but the commentary was called "Dear Idiots" because he was basically he's basically chewing them out, being dumb the whole time in the book of Galatians, and that kind of happens with Corinthians as well. But in Romans, I mean, you could see how they have a thriving, growing church, right? He's writing to these churches and encouraging them. And it makes me think of us as, you know, our Woodinville campus is only 6 years old, you know, and I mean, the church in Rome was probably somewhere around then, right? The church in Rome definitely wasn't any more than a few decades old at this point. So it kind of makes me feel about in the same way, and I don't know. It just adds a little different sauce to me when I think of it in that context. So cool. Well, John, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
It was fun.
Keep up with your reading.
That's right.
If you've got off track, just jump right back in. Go worry about those days you missed another time. just dive in, get in with us. Sorry, Grandma, about all this. I love you so much. But we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See ya.